So it looks like Apple will no longer automatically void your phone's warranty if you've had it worked on by a third party. For example, let's say you got your screen cracked, you took it somewhere other than to the Apple Store and you got it fixed. There is a chance you might still have the warranty on your phone. And this is something that is quite significant for a lot of reasons. And at the same time, I view it with a certain degree of skepticism. So historically, if you have an electronic device that's under manufacturer's warranty, for the most part, that warranty is null and void if it's obvious that the device has been tampered with or it's been repaired by someone who is not an authorized service center for that particular company. So this isn't specific to Apple. This is pretty much any electronics manufacturer or any phone manufacturer for that matter. Now, am I biased on this topic? Well, yes, to a certain degree. I work on phones for a living. I repair them. I am not authorized by any manufacturer to do so. And I've seen things that a lot of companies who make phones do to their customers that I don't think is really entirely fair to that person who spent, in many cases up to $1,000 pretty much to purchase that device. So I'm going to try to be as objective as possible on this topic because I'm really curious as to why Apple chose this point in time to kind of change their stance when it comes to third-party repairs. So interestingly enough, about a week ago, I did a video about the right to repair. And if you haven't seen that, you can check it out on my channel. I'll put a link up in the corner here. And what that addresses is legislation that's being proposed to allow people who are not the manufacturer to service or repair phones that come in due to whatever type of damage they might have, whether it's physical, liquid damage, or other. So it's really curious to me that just a few days after a lot of press came out about the right to repair it, Apple has said, well, you know what, if you want to get your phone fixed somewhere else, that's okay. We will not void your warranty automatically. Now, that does come with a certain number of conditions, but I'll get to that in a second. So real quick, I do want to put this out there. If you've got an Apple device and you're curious about whether or not it's covered under warranty, because maybe you bought it from a third party, or got it, or, not quite sure where exactly the warranty falls on the device based on the date of purchase, you can go to checkcoverage.apple.com and you should be able to get some information about the warranty on your device. Now, first off, how is this going to affect customers? So if you are any random person and you happen to own an iPhone and you drop it and you need to get it fixed because the screen is cracked, what has changed at this point? Well, technically, according to Apple, your warranty is not automatically voided. Now, again, I said that comes with a set of conditions. So what those conditions really say is that if you go to the Apple Store after you've had a third party work on your phone, they can then determine if any of the work that was done on that phone will in fact void the warranty. So it's very possible for someone who works on your phone to cause more damage to the phone than could realistically be repaired by an Apple service center. And in that case, they're going to say, well, we had a warranty on your phone. It's not voided because somebody worked on it, but it's voided because of what they did while they're inside of it. So there is still a potential that regardless, and what's really unfortunate is at this point, we don't have a lot of details on exactly how they would make that determination. They might take one look at your phone, say, yeah, sorry, we're not going to help you because of the type of the screen that they used on it, or they broke something else on the inside. And really, when it comes down to it, when it's something like a screen replacement, it's relatively straightforward. There's not a whole lot of things that can go wrong unless you just really haven't prepared yourself for that repair. If you get into something a little deeper than that, it can be a lot easier to mess things up. But for the most part, if you turn off the phone, disconnect the battery, and you're very careful working on the delicate components on the inside, it's unlikely that most people with an intermediate level of technical expertise are going to have a problem with something like an iPhone screen. Now, how is this going to affect third-party repair shops? Well, that remains to be seen, but for the most part, it does give us the advantage of being able to inform our customers when they're skeptical about a repair that, no, this will not necessarily void your warranty. So if you come to my store and you bought your phone 3 months ago and you broke the screen, but there is no Apple store anywhere in your area that you can take it to, and most people don't have a lot of patience when it comes to getting their phones repaired, you can rest assured that there is at least a possibility that even if Apple finds out that I worked on your phone, they won't automatically void the warranty that you have from when you've purchased the phone. Now, why would you go somewhere other than to Apple if your phone is still under warranty? Well, there's a lot of answers for that. And in addition to the fact that a lot of people don't have a lot of patience, but for the most part, historically speaking, again, Apple has in the past charged much more for a screen replacement than what a lot of third parties are able to do it for. Now, they've changed their pricing more recently to come a little closer to, and in many cases, to beat the prices that are available at third-party repair shops. And that is going to be limited specifically to very late model phones. So, typically what happens is a new phone gets released by Apple, and the availability of the replacement parts is going to take some time. So within the first few months that the product is released, it's very difficult for third-party repair centers to get a hold of parts that they can use to replace on that phone. So it takes a little while for these things to become broken, end up becoming refurbished or remanufactured by someone else, and then they send them out for replacement. So typically we will tell a customer that if you just got your brand new iPhone 7 a month ago, more than likely we are going to direct you back to Apple unless you want to spend a lot of money for the repair. And this is not only the best thing for the customer, but it also builds some goodwill and loyalty for people who say, hey, I realize that you could have just said, this is my only option, I have to pay you a lot of money, but instead you said, hey, your best option right now is to go back to Apple. And we do this pretty much every year when a phone comes out from any manufacturer that we don't have replacement parts for, or they're extraordinarily expensive to buy those replacement parts. If you just bought a phone for $700 and it cost me $350 to get the screen, I've got to charge you at least $400 or more, where I can probably send you down to Apple and they may charge you $150 or so. Again, assuming that you meet the specific requirements for them to service your phone. Now, in any case, when someone comes in and says, I've got Apple Care on my phone, I will almost automatically send them to Apple for something routine like a screen repair, because if you've bought Apple Care, you've actually paid for part of your repair up front. And this is what I recommend people do if they consider buying some sort of protection plan, whether it's Apple Care or an extended warranty or anything else like that, is to ask yourself what you think the odds are that you're going to damage this phone in the near future. Because if you're someone who has a history of dropping phones a lot and breaking screens, I would absolutely recommend that you buy something like Apple Care, again, because it is going to be the best decision for you as a customer. That's pretty much the way that protection plans work. So from the 9to5 Mac website, here's what I have. If the third-party display causes the repair to fail or otherwise causes damage to the phone during the repair process, the customer will be required to pay the out-of-warranty cost to resolve the issue, whether that be replacing the third-party part with an Apple part, replacing the whole device, or something else. So in many cases, you go to Apple for screen repair, and you might end up ultimately replacing the entire device for one reason or another. Again, I want to get into the specifics of that shortly. So why would you not want to take your phone to Apple? Well, maybe you can't. Maybe there's not an Apple store anywhere near you. And as I've stated several times already, people aren't typically very patient when it comes to getting their phones repaired. So doing something like mailing it out for repair, even if you've got an overnight delivery, you're going to send it out, it's going to have to be sent back to you, and you can add those transportation times to whatever amount of time it takes for them to repair your phone. So that's one of the reasons. A lot of people also don't have the time or patience that it requires to make and keep an appointment at the Apple store. So if you've never been to an Apple store, it is a jungle sometimes. Usually you will have people lined up at the door when they open, and I'm not pointing a finger or saying that this is a bad thing about Apple, but the fact of the matter is there aren't enough Apple stores to go around. So you will be required in most cases to make an appointment in order to get your phone repaired. So this is one of the advantages that third-party repair shops are able to offer over manufacturers. And number one, Apple is the only, with rare exception, there are a few Microsoft stores out there, but Apple is the only store that I know of that sells and services their phones. So, if you took a look at Samsung or anyone else, there's not even an option to make an appointment. You've got to mail your phone off to get it repaired and then have it sent back again if they determine that it can be repaired in the first place. So a lot of customers that we deal with that come in the store that know that there's an Apple store right down the street from us absolutely refuse to have to make an appointment to get their phone repaired. And when it's something as routine as a screen replacement, it seems unusual that you would have to make an appointment, because it's, like I stated earlier, it's a very straightforward process. It's not rocket science. it shouldn't take 45 minutes to an hour to replace a screen. In most cases, it takes about 15-20 minutes. And if you pre-assemble the screens beforehand and have all the small parts installed on them, it can literally be a 5-minute job. So when you go to the Apple Store, you're making an appointment not because of a lot of other people who have cracked screens. You're making an appointment because Apple does a lot more at their stores than replace screens on phones. So why should you have to wait for all those people in front of you? Well, maybe you shouldn't. In addition to that, when I've made an appointment at an Apple store, sometimes it's been 2.5 weeks out. So obviously, a lot of people are not going to wait that period of time, especially if you've got something like a screen that doesn't respond to touch. So you're basically locked out of your phone until you get it repaired. When it comes to data recovery and or retention is the word I want to use, if you walk into an Apple store and they take a look at your phone and say, well, actually your screen is broken, but your frame's also bent on your phone. So we can't actually replace the screen. What we're going to have to do is give you an option to pay a different amount of money, and we will replace your phone with a refurbished unit. Well, what happens then is you don't get any of the information that's stored on that phone. And this is a big problem for a lot of people. If you've seen that annoying little message on your phone pop up and say you're almost out of iCloud space and you've got to purchase some more, yeah, well, personally, that's not something I do. Some people do. A lot of people don't trust the cloud. But for the most part, what happens is you run out of space on your cloud account. And if you don't back up your phone to your computer and in iTunes, which a lot of people don't, there's a good possibility that you can lose that information if something goes wrong with your phone. Well, when you get to the Apple Store, they're not going to say, we're going to do everything that can possibly be done in order to recover the data on your phone. What they're going to do is take a look at your phone and ask a couple of questions. One, is this a repair that we offer for our customers at the retail level? And in many cases, the answer to that question, when it goes beyond a cracked screen or maybe some lint inside of your charging port, a lot of times, or battery replacement, don't let me leave that out. A lot of times the answer is going to be no, we don't offer that type of service here, but what we'll do is get you into a different phone, take yours back, and you'll get some value out of that. Basically, they'll give you a discounted rate on the new unit. This doesn't do anything to address the issue or the problem that you have where you've got to get your data off of your phone. So your options can be limited a lot of times when you go to Apple, and this is a lot of things that we hear from customers when they come in is I don't care about the price of the repair. I need to get the information off of my phone. It's got a blue screen, or it's got water damage, or it's got a damaged charge port, or something else that does not fall into the category of repairs that are offered by Apple. So a lot of our business is actually coming from people who already know they have the option to go to Apple, but Apple isn't offering them the solution that they want. So availability of services is another reason that people choose in many cases not to go to Apple. So I'm sure there are a lot more, but obviously, there have been a sufficient number that we are still in business, and a lot of you are still in business if you're in the repair industry at this point. So I don't think it's something really to be too concerned about. And at the same time, as I mentioned, I'm a little skeptical about Apple's whole timing on this thing. The reason that we got this information about them allowing people to bring in their phones, which is very different from what they did before after they've been worked on by a third party. Interesting thing on Apple's support page is it says, do you need a repair for other issues such as the home button, liquid damage, or an accessory? Now, I get the home button and the accessory, but I wasn't aware that Apple was offering repair services for liquid damage. In fact, I'm pretty confident that their solution to liquid damage on a phone is to replace your phone in some manner, and obviously you've got to pay some percentage of the retail price on that phone, again, leaving us in a situation where you don't really get your phone back. You don't get your data from your phone, and you are not getting a brand new phone. You are getting a refurbished phone that has gone to Apple for some other sort of problem, been repaired, and sent back out. So the history of that phone to you as a customer is a big mystery. All right, so what do people think about this big announcement from Apple? Well, I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Please leave your comments below the video. But until we get to that point, I want to read you some of the comments that I found on a few websites who published this story within the last few days. So this is where you get most of the interesting input from consumers and from repair stores. All right, let's start with WCCFtech.com. I've replaced many screens on the mobile phones already, especially from Apple, and the problem with iPhone 7 and going forward will definitely be a problem of waterproofing. What I've seen so far, the seal is currently made of some sticky goo, which I believe cannot be reapplied after replacing the screen. hopefully these will be possible to buy from third parties too, and I'm sure that they are and or will be. All right, some comments from phonearena.com. This doesn't make much sense because Apple has a history of killing iPhones repaired by third parties. They have also successfully blocked legislation allowing third-party repairs and are apparently going to try to block the new right to repair bill. And this, we already knew this. We know that Apple's going to fight the right to repair bill. And I do suspect that this is going to have something to do with their argument, because they're going to be able to come in and say, well, we don't void anyone's warranty just because someone fixed a screen, so why should we have to allow access to parts or information about the repairs on our phones? I have a feeling. So I'm sure that their lawyers know what they're doing. They're a big company. They have lots of money, probably got the best lawyers in the business. I have a feeling this has definitely got something to do with it. And the first part of the statement also, Apple has a history of killing iPhones repaired by third parties, and I have seen this happen more than once when the phone hasn't even been repaired by a third party. What happens is you bring in your phone, Apple replaces the screen, it does a very routine repair that we do all the time, but then they plug it into their calibration machine to make sure the phone meets their standards, and then they say, oh, sorry, your phone is not properly repairable, so what we're going to do is allow you to buy a refurbished model for somewhere in the neighborhood of $300. That's generally about where they are. So you don't end up with a brand new phone, you end up with a replacement that has been damaged by someone else and repaired by Apple and sent back out to you, usually with a minimal warranty. If I remember correctly, I think they give you about 60 days on that one. You don't get a brand new warranty for a year, to the best of my knowledge. And the response to that comment, because every company has a history of killing phones repaired by third parties. I don't know if that's true, but they definitely have a history of refusing to repair phones that have been worked on by third parties. What about those places that use terrible quality third-party displays? There's a benefit to having tight control. Also, to be honest, Apple repair costs are maybe $20 more than third-party places. Yeah, that's true as of late. Now, a few years ago, that wasn't the case, but they have definitely lowered their prices. And this is all speculation, but I don't think it is as much to put third-party repair shops out of business, but rather to retain their customer base. And this is the take that I have on all of this, is that Apple is probably less concerned about people working on your phone than they are of losing you as a customer, because once you go to the Apple Store, there is always a potential that they can upsell you to another device, some accessory, reinforce that loyalty that people have to their brand, which is completely understandable. But that is my suspicion behind their motivation of making this a new policy, is that, you know what, if you made the mistake of taking your phone to a third party to have it repaired, now you can come back to us. We still want you as a customer, and we don't want you to have a bitter taste in your mouth because when you got to the store, we said, oh, sorry, somebody else touched your phone. We can't help you now. That's really the impression that I get. And that's the one that would make sense to me, is that Apple still wants people to buy from them. So you would alienate someone, a customer, to a certain extent if you said, oh, sorry, you made this little mistake. Now you're done. That's it for now. We'll see how this whole thing unfolds. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you next time.